Hi, I'm Media, a product specialist from Canon UK. So hopefully I'll be able to talk about all these latest products and explain the differences between them. The R8 is actually allowing the person or the content creator to make that leap, and that's the reason behind the marketing tagline. So the R8 actually sits between the R6 Mark II and the RP. So those upgrading from the R or the RP, for example, making that leap to the R8, improving the quality of their content, be it stills for video, looking at students, for example, using probably APS-C cameras, again, be it digital SLRs or mirrorless, going up to full frame camera, wanting an affordable body that they can work with, but they don't want to compromise. Again, that's where the R8 will come in. And content creators, I mean, there is a lot of noise about content creators and what they do. The demand for hybrid shooting and being able to do photo and video without compromising on one over the other. Wanting full frame, wanting a smaller and lighter body. Again, that's where the R8 comes, because it combines loads of features from the R6 Mark II, which has a professional body, with that compact and lightweight design from the RP that everyone loves. So starting from the still side, so the camera inherits or uses the same sensor and processor from the R6 Mark II. So from the still side, you're looking at that 24 million pixels, 40 frames per second, the great and trusted autofocus with the dual pixel CMOS AF2, with the new additions that we had with the R6 Mark II, so in terms of subject detection with like horses, trains, planes. So all of that on the photo side, but you're also combining it with 6K oversampled, 4K up to 60. C-Log 3, because usually you don't find these kind of spec on a camera at that level, meaning you're getting the best of both. If you want to do stills, you know that you can rely on this camera. If you want to do video, you do have more flexibility again. And what we've done, compared to those familiar with the EOS RP, there used to be an on-off switch on where there is on the RP. What we've done with the R8 is the on and off switch moved to the side, and now you do have that photo video switch. What it does on the video side in particular, it actually opens up all the options that you have on the mode dial. So you can actually do a lot more on the video side. If you're shooting video, the great thing is, even if the lens doesn't have optical image stabilizer built in, you have the electronic IS built into the body, or digital IS, and it works very well because it is the same mechanism that we use in our video cameras, like the Cinema EOS cameras. So it works well, but also works in combination with lenses that have the optical image stabilizer. So that's the benefit. The great thing, again, with the RF lenses is we do have more lenses that have IS. So the fact that the camera doesn't have IBIS shouldn't be an issue whether you're shooting stills or video. Because of the price difference between the R8 and the R7, they're very close. So people might be confused a little bit. It comes down to whether you need the additional megapixels on the R7, for example, over the 24 million pixels, whether you prefer the full frame on the R8 to give you more flexibility. In terms of being able to shoot wildlife and to shoot action, you can still do it with this because you do have 40 frames per second with the electronic shutter. Very fast. I mean, the R7, you're looking at 30 frames per second. Yes, you do get IBIS on the R7 and you do get better weather sealing. So maybe that might make the wildlife photographer go for the R7 over the R8. So it comes down, as I said, what you want the camera to do for you and different environments or different settings that you might need. But speed, definitely no question. Both the R8 can deliver on that too. Okay, so the R50 will be the new entry point to our EOS system. Previously, we've had the R10 as the entry point. Now this is the new entry point. So this will sit below the R10 and it will be our smallest and lightest APS-C EOS R camera. In terms of the design, it doesn't look like any other EOS R camera in the system because of the simple kind of design, the smaller grip, less buttons and dials, purely for those obviously upgrading from like smartphones or more basic cameras, so less daunting in a way. Even lighter than the M50. Pretty sure there are loads of people familiar with the M50. This is even about 12 grams roughly lighter. Yeah, to make sure that people actually keep this camera with them and take it wherever they go to be able to create that content. So the R50 uses the same sensor and the processor from the R10. So you're looking at 24 million pixels, 15 frames per second. Again, we keep talking about cameras being able to shoot wildlife, for example, or even action. You can still do that with this. On the video side, again, the hybrid functionality, you get 4K up to 30, Full HD up to 120. You still have the option to attach an external mic as well. So, and the multifunction shoot that we now have on pretty much every camera on the EOS R system, with the exception of the earlier RP and the R, or the R5 and the R6. The guided user interface, to be honest, we have it even on the R6 Mark II, which is more professional. It's something that you can, I mean, by default on these cameras is enabled. What it does is when you change in from one mode to another, it explains what that mode is for. So you have the mode guide and you have the feature guide. I mean, the feature guide, once you learn everything and what each feature does, it can get annoying. But yeah, it's almost like a built-in manual within the camera, because just to give you an example, I mean, it's easier to show with mode dial. So it actually shows you what it is, it explains, and then you press the arrow, it can actually give you more, and then you get the feature mode as well. You can go through to the yellow menu and disable it once you get your head around it. But it's a great feature, I think, to have, and even like the different scene modes and creative filters, which are all great to start with before diving into the manual exposure if you want to, so you do have the option. Great thing with this camera is once you hold it in a vertical orientation, whether it's this way, the camera knows that you're actually not holding it in landscape mode. So when you're recording video, it actually saves the information and your video clip will be saved in that orientation. Meaning if you're transferring it to your smartphone, or even if you were to save it on a computer, it will be saved in the vertical orientation. You also have the option, if you were to shoot landscape, to use aspect ratios. Obviously that will require editing afterwards, but at least to help you with the framing, depending on where the content is going to go, and edit it afterwards. But yeah, vertical shooting is as simple as recording in that way, or that. With this camera, we want to capture new audiences, so those creating content on usually their smartphones or fixed lens cameras, even like the G7X, for example, but they want to take their video quality and stills, so their content to the next level. This will be the perfect camera for them because it's still fairly easy to use and it's still small and light, because obviously the size and weight of these cameras for someone upgrading from a smartphone is important, because they want a camera that they want to take with them everywhere, and this is a great option. We're also looking at those that would have probably been using something like 1000D, 2000D, 4000D, which is an entry-level dish DSLR, but they want to get better quality on stills and video, but they don't want bigger cameras, so they want, again, to keep it small and light. Content creators in general, as I said, we tend to use the term content creators quite a lot, and it's fairly broad. Those using, it could be any camera, but if it's an old camera, the technology has moved on. We want the camera to do a lot for us. We want the camera to be great at focusing and great at creating content with minimal interaction with it. And the R50 can deliver on that.